Welcome to the Wealth and Wellness Report, the podcast where we dive deep into the intersection of financial growth, legacy, and personal development. Today, I have a wonderful guest. His name's Daniel Velasquez, Handyman Dan. And I'm so excited that you're here today, man.
Thank you, Diego.
We were just talking before we clicked record about how we met. And it was on the Discord channel from the Sub 2 group.
That's right.
And the Sub 2 group is a creative real estate investor community. And you and I had like this aha moment where we're like, oh, wait, you're from the Bay Area. You're from San Francisco. I'm from San Mateo. And we've got the same likings and stuff. And then I think I called you, and then we ended up hitting it off. You had a job from a previous client, I think, right? And you reached out and was like, hey, this is something that I would love your help with. And we ended up doing a really good project with this person. And I remember just being so grateful when I finally met you like face-to-face in Walnut Creek, because I think we met finally at a meetup.
Mm-hmm.
Sub 2 meetup. And I was like, just so grateful because the job ended up going so smoothly, and it was like with such great people, and worked out a pretty solid solution for what she had gone through, which is a big drainage foundation issue. And then she had to remove that window underneath her house at the basement that required us to crib up that first story. And it was just like really technical project. And we ended up doing a really fantastic job. And then when I was there at Walnut Creek, met you in person, I was like, dude, thank you so much for like bringing value to my company and my world. And then from there, it was like, we kind of just hit it off, man.
Yeah. You know, it's funny about that event when I saw you there. We actually have the same truck.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know it at the time, but I was like, oh, it's a pretty specific truck. And when I went to the meetup, I saw your car there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to drive by to see, like, I wonder whose this is, and then lo and behold, after talking to you, and I think it was actually the second time that I saw you, you pulled up in the same truck.
Yep.
No, I did. I pulled up, and then you're like, oh, you have the same car as me. And I was like, really? So it's just funny to see how similar we are, and how similar that we think. And even on something so basic as the same.
That whole saying, like, your vibe attracts your tribe, is like, I think is so true. And I have like so many friends that kind of like the relationships kind of started out that way, where, we had similar interests. We had kind of a similar vibe, and then, we're friends for like decades, which is really cool. That took us to another project, I believe after Lauren's, and that was in South San Francisco or in Brisbane, where you came out to help out with a kitchen and bathroom remodeling project that was challenging. I think that tested the waters between the both of us, communication and project management, attention to the detail and the work the guys were doing, and then meeting the customer's expectations. What really stood out for me during that project was you were just so easy to work with, man. Like, calm, collected, you were cool amongst the pressure. I'm like, dude, who's this guy? Like, generally people their hair's on fire in construction, and you were just like, it's cool, we got it. I got you. We'll do it. No worries. And I really appreciate that about you, man. Like, you're such a team player and just always eager to support, help others. And a big reason why I wanted to have this chat with you today is like, I want to know more about your mindset going into projects like that. I'm sure there's stuff around your family too that, makes, you who you are. And I'd love for you to maybe talk a little bit about how wealth and wellness means to you in your life, and what sort of things you're doing in your day to day.
Perfect. I'd love to chat about that. There's been quite a few changes that I've been processing in the last Probably since we met, actually. You know, when I was the San Francisco Handyman, or Handyman Dan as my Instagram and my attempts to my own marketing. But yeah, a lot of changes. I definitely love being a handyman. I love what I do. I've learned a lot in the evolution of what I did and how I started and where I'm at today. I think when I met you was probably a year after my peak of the handyman business, and was also the transition into that I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So, and now it's been about 2 years, I believe.
Wow. Time flies, man.
Yeah. So our conversations started turning into more real estate based, and a lot less construction and handyman. But yeah, there's been quite a lot to discuss and talk about around both real estate and construction.
Yeah. So so part of the mindset, as you go into something new is, and I've talked about this before, it's like, it's something new. It's something different. It's hard to like go all in because of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Like what are you going to do if things don't work out, kind of thing. But I found in my experience that if you have, like a protocol or a methodology, a toolkit of, some sort of solution-based strategy where you're going back to things that work and then apply them to your life. Yeah. Generally good things happen when you have good intentions. So for me, like fitness and education and family and just having a clean lifestyle has allowed me to focus, has allowed me to like really dig into things that have been challenging to learn and to kind of like sink my teeth into. So, for you, as you embarking out of this handyman construction industry and you want to move more into the real estate side, what sort of tactics or practices do you do on a daily basis, like to keep your mind sharp, to keep, that wheel turning in the direction that you want to go in?
That's a good question. And it's a question that's been in my head for the last 2 years since this all started. So about 2 years ago, I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to do. Originally, I had gotten into the handyman industry or construction because of two reasons: the flexibility, and the second one was I wanted to get into construction. Or no, I'm sorry. I wanted to get into real estate, and I thought that I needed to know construction. So I said, well, if I want to fix and flip, if I want to, I just felt like having that deep understanding of construction was going to be the edge that I needed to get into real estate. Now looking back, yes, I learned a lot. I can tell you how to build a house, how to repair just about anything in a home, but it's not necessarily what I needed to get into real estate. If anything, it actually distracted me from getting into real estate. And when I say real estate, it was still unclear to me what that means. If that means buying and selling, like being an agent, or fixing and flipping for myself. So it was very, just unclear.
Obscurity.
Yep.
Difficult to kind of wrap your head around.
Yeah.
What did you do to kind of bake in the clarity that you needed to move forward?
Time.
Okay. Yeah.
It took time, but to be more specific with that answer, it's community.
Everything.
So yeah, I mean, it's a deep question. It was why it took so long. Sure. But having conversations like with you, about construction and about real estate, because you do both. So just having conversations to provide more clarity. Definitely could have shortcut that process a lot shorter if I had more conversations instead of just trying to process it in my own head.
Yeah.
But that would probably be the most important aspect, is just having those conversations.
Community is everything. Like you mentioned, I like to use the analogy of like being on the side of a mountain. Either you're skiing it or you're hiking up or down it. If you're alone and you come across an area of the mountain where you're like, I'm not really quite sure if this is safe. I'm not really quite sure if I should be going down or up in this direction. And when you're alone, you're having those conversations by yourself. You don't have somebody to go, hey, like, what do you think about this line over here? Or, hey, what do you think about bouldering over this little crevasse or something like that? It makes it so much easier to make a decision when you have somebody there next to you or multiple people there next to you. That way you can bounce ideas off of them. You can get feedback, which is instrumental to decision making. And a team is just going to get you further than by yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And I think we've talked a lot about, team building since we became friends and started working together, because we do real estate together.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of properties together.
We do.
And we are looking to expand our portfolios, and to do that alone, considering that they're out of state, is probably going to be near impossible unless you're willing to just let properties sit, have them go to crap, like just not do anything with them. What's something that's really valuable to you in a team when you're embarking on whatever project, whether it's construction or real estate? What aspects of the team do you really find most valuable?
Well, I think having, one, trust is oftentimes hard to find in anybody, in people in general. I'm the kind of person that will typically trust first and verify that intuition is true or not. And through the process of taking these jobs together, construction together, I would say trust definitely is among the most important. That's
Agree. Yeah, because in construction and real estate, there's a bunch of fly-by-night racketeers who are just shady as you can get, man. And it's unfortunate. I think a big reason why I'm in the industries is because I want to change that narrative so much. I want to change the way people do business in these industries, because they're it's just so full of greed and backstabbing, and just right out of the gate, moving into the sub 2 community, like thinking, oh, this is a reputable group.
Sure.
This is going to be safe. And then I start making my initial investments with community members and get completely burned, man. Completely burned. And that was like a huge wake up call for me. It's like, no matter who facilitates and no matter what group you're part of, like, you still need to do your due diligence. Yeah. You still need to verify. You still need to go that extra mile to determine your investment is fundamentally sound. And then from there, you make the leap. But I learned right away in sub 2, it's like, I can't even, like, in any group really, like, I can't just assume, I have to verify. And that was a huge learning experience for me, because I'm so much like you. Like, I just immediately trust. It's like, you sound like a great person. Let's do some work together, And I've always used the permaculture principle: start small and scale up. Like, let's do a little pilot project. Let's kind of work together initially on some of these smaller deals and then see how that goes. And then, great, let's reinvest that feedback and reinvest those dollars into another project. And then over time that will snowball. The relationship will increase in value and in tenor. And then I think that's what we're ultimately looking to accomplish, is taking these initial investments and these deals that we're working up together, and then snowball them into bigger projects, which is super exciting. And I mean, I could talk about real estate all day. What are some of your favorite parts of real estate that get you going?
Well, there's a few things, coming now from a construction background in design build, it's very rewarding when you can create a space. If it's in a yard that was just dirt, or if it's adding a bedroom to a home that now is used as a nursery or used as an in-law unit, or just that creative element is very rewarding. You're adding value, and so adding value to any real estate to me is very exciting. Properties, they depreciate, or they get worn out. They need maintenance. They need to get worked on. And that renewal is very exciting to me. And it just keeps the creative juices flowing, because there's so many new products and designs, and it's so personal to every client that I've worked with, or that we've worked with together, where they're like, I want this for this specific reason, but I don't know how to do it. And it's very rewarding to
the transformation.
Yeah.
And real estate's ability to transform a property from the depreciated, kind of degraded status and into highest and best use is really fun to be a part of. And to do it for others is, I think, really special.
Yeah.
Because outside of just doing something for yourself, which is cool too, because that's all about, building wealth and legacy and a portfolio, but to take other people's dreams, visions, and goals, and then support them in a way that brings joy through the transformation process is why I keep doing what I do, and why I don't want to just go all into real estate. Because I do find a lot of joy in the designing and the building of a custom home that's really catered to the family or the individual who's living there, and providing that kind of support, which is really, really cool. You have an affinity and a passion for transforming spaces.
Yes.
And you're really good at it.
Yes.
Really good at it. So making the full leap into the real estate space is probably going to, of course, transform your day to day. However, I would imagine there's going to be big chunks of this passion and this skill that you have that will be applied into the real estate space. Because I do agree with you. I do think that having proficiency and an understanding of construction and the built environment is only going to set you apart in the real estate industry.
Yes. And actually have done the work.
Exactly.
And had teams doing the work instead of just understanding.
It's going to set you apart.
Yeah.
Rather than having just a regular old realtor who just puts a sign up on the yard.
So in the last few years, I've evolved from myself doing the work into finding professionals to do the work, and then just simply seeing what I can do in between to make sure that it gets done to the vision that the client, or that the expectation that we set. So it's evolved from me working hourly to repair someone's whatever it is, adding can lights or whatever the small project may be, to then having teams. And now with real estate, I have the knowledge on both aspects of me actually doing the work and having teams to do the work. I keep going back to construction, but with...
Yeah. I mean, there's, other than selling land and maybe RV parks everything else generally has a building on it.
Yep.
You know, and having an understanding of how that building functions and how it's constructed, I think is enormous in terms of value that you would provide a client or a partner or a teammate. I think that's something that you should certainly use as like that Swiss Army knife, you know, that you're so well versed in. Like if you need something out of that Swiss Army knife, you just pull it out.
Yep.
And it's ready to go. Having that, I think, is like bar none going to set you apart from everybody else, especially in the residential real estate industry. Because most realtors, they just know how to put up a sign. They know they got a little gift of gab, and then maybe they get some deals in, and then they shoot everything off to their teams, like their construction teams or their handyman or whatever. But to have that kind of all in house, or be able to support, I think, through a dialogue or a conversation with the client when you meet somebody on a property or on a project, I think it's like I mentioned earlier, it's just going to set you apart, you know?
Yeah. And going back to the question, so with a handyman business, like, yeah, it went okay for that being my first entrepreneurial experience. Right. But there's an income cap as well on either how much construction a person or a team can do. When you think about how stressful a lot of these jobs can be, and there's a limit. And so currently I do some work on the side in construction, but the biggest reason to get into real estate is that there's an income cap. And the second part of it is there's only so much value that can bring. Now putting both of them together, having real estate and construction together can increase the income potential. It can also, just the value that I can bring versus changing out a light bulb, to say it in a simple form.
Yeah. So a lot of the audience that listens to us is either a seasoned investor or somebody that's in the residential space and wants to move into the commercial space. They're an entrepreneur. They want to get into real estate. What would you tell them in terms of making the leap, or, you know, embarking on the new project of getting into real estate, whether it's a different asset class in real estate or moving from construction to real estate? What would you suggest that they do first?
Yeah. So knowledge is number one, I think. Like if I can look back and see why I did what I did, is having a deep understanding of the job that you're doing. So what I mean is I first started off by myself, you know, had to YouTube just about everything to learn. Right. I think looking back, it would have been more beneficial to work for somebody, and the learning curve would have been a lot faster. And having a community around, you know, I had a couple buddies in construction that I can call and we can figure things out. And really I got in because I needed the flexibility. I was taking care of a family member at the time, and I said, okay, I knew I wanted to do something with my hands. But I think it's all about the long game, right? So if I go back and analyze everything that I did, it was all as in a preparation for where I'm at today. So if I were to give any advice from the experience that I have, think of the long game, but also think about how can we shortcut that process? Is it working for someone else for some time, seeing how you can provide value to them for the value that they're giving me while I learn? If it's through work ethic, if it's through just finding the best solution or the best way to do the project. But that's what I what I would say. But really try to shortcut that process.
And you can do that by finding who, not how.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's huge. I absolutely agree, because that would accelerate and compress the timeline.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you about the analogy of changing a car tire when you're looking to learn something new? It's like, I've never changed a car tire, but I just desire so much to learn how to change a car tire. Well, I'm going to go to somebody who absolutely knows how to change a car tire in the best form in like ever.
Yeah.
So I go to this person and I go, I need you to change this car tire in front of me, please. And then I observe. And then when the car tire is fully changed, I take the car tire off, and then I request that this person watch me put the car tire on. So the kinesthetic learning, getting it into your muscles, the application, the experience is the most valuable when you have somebody there with you giving you instrumental feedback. Like, cool, I can go at this alone, but I'm not going to get somebody telling me, okay, maybe you should tighten that a little more. Maybe you should use your hand in this way, or maybe, there's just so much value that somebody can bring in to that conversation that will absolutely compress the timeline. So I love that analogy, and I always use it, because anytime I don't know how to do something, I'm always like raising my hand, like, who knows how to do this? I want to learn from you and ultimately partner with you in a way so that you do what you do best, and I can do what I can do best. And together we're like the Avengers, it's like, it's such a fun experience.
Yep.
Yeah. My favorite part of a team is everybody's uniqueness coming together for a common good to achieve things of greatness that otherwise all of us independently could never, ever achieve alone. That to me is like, builds camaraderie. It builds, trust. It builds just a vibe that you're just like, okay, like I'm a part of something greater than myself, and I want to go out there and I just want to crush it for my comrades, my people, my teammates, everybody that's involved on a job or a project or a deal. What comes to mind is how many are involved in a real estate transaction, because there's like this microeconomy that emerges once a deal begins, like whether you're purchasing a commercial real estate asset or you're buying a single family residence. Like the amount of people that come together to get that across the finish line is like that of a small economy. You have so many people involved. Everybody from the transaction coordinator to the real estate agent, to the buyer, to the seller, to the title company, to the escrow officers, to the inspection teams, to the contractor, to the appraiser, there's just the insurance companies. It's just like this
40, 50 people.
It's amazing how that happens. So when I think of, real estate, I think of how to create an efficiency at scale that brings everybody together collectively, and that it's like joyful experience. And that might be a tall order to ask for, because everybody's kind of in it for themselves in many ways, like to come together as a team, to have that kind of greater good. Maybe I'm just being a little, unrealistic, but I would love to see more of that. And I think ultimately that's what I try to do so much when we're doing a deal, or where we're at least underwriting a deal and we're getting to know a deal, who to call, the right players to come in and really provide that value so that we can get it across the finish line, not only on time, but it's just like, cool, everything, went smoothly. And after doing so many transactions, it like rarely ever goes smoothly. And I always wonder why. It has to be that way. It doesn't, because, even doing projects together, you know, within like a home remodel. It's like we try so hard to put the customer first and to put the ultimate goal first. Like, this is why we're doing it. There's a why, instead of like, I'm in this to make a paycheck. I'm here between this time, and then I'm going to bounce. It's just it's not an ideal world that I want to be a part in. So a big reason why I love working with you is because you've got that same perspective, that same mentality, and you want to go in on things together in a way where you're like, cool, how can I help? I want to be a part of this team, and I want to be able to support in any way I can. I'll be there. And to have that in a teammate is literally everything, man. Literally everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. Outside of real estate, I know you've got other passions. You've talked a lot about this truck, this TRD Pro that you absolutely love, that I love too. I know you've got some passion projects on the side. I'm kind of curious, within the wealth and wellness arenas, like what other things you do that kind of promote that wealth and wellness?
Yeah. So, the reason for the truck was I bought it the year that my son was born.
Cool.
So he's turning 3 now in May.
Wow.
Yeah. So I bought it that year, and with the goal of just family adventures. Mm-hmm. You know, I've always been more of a sports car kind of guy. I like speed. I like cars. Even in high school, I was into drifting cars, and it feels like a past life now, but now, I love the 4-wheel drive, the adventures. Mm-hmm. I recently, a few years back, went to my hometown in Colombia, where most of my family is now, and realizing they're all into trucks and mudding and off-roading. So I've done some modifications to it, to make it ready for any sort of terrain. But that is a hobby of mine, is working on the truck. It's definitely a lot of fun, but it also provides us the freedom to go camping and go to places where most cars can't make it to. Yeah. But yeah, that's one of my hobbies, and I absolutely love it. There's some design aspect to it as well, because it's important to me that the car aesthetically looks good. Probably learned some of that through construction and different things. But yeah, that's definitely a big passion of mine. And taking my son fishing is the next adventure. We'll be going in a couple of weeks to take him on.
Where are you guys going to
go? We're going to go up. It's about an hour past Nevada City.
Okay. Cool. River or lake or?
It's a little mini cabin.
Cool.
With a buddy of mine who has another 3-year-old as well. And he just bought himself a GX. And we're just gonna go explore with the kids. It's just him and I and the two boys.
That's awesome.
We're gonna go fishing, and it's definitely a huge passion of mine to be with nature and family.
That is what's up. I have so many fond memories of being a child and my parents taking us camping, taking us to the river, taking us to the lake, taking us to the mountains, taking us to the ocean, and I'm so grateful that they were able to expose us as children, because that joy in sharing time in nature with family is like unlike anything else, man. And you have a big family. You're like one out of 4 brothers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a quadruplet.
I am.
Amazing. That and then your wife is a twin.
And she's a twin.
And that means
so we were very nervous when we had our first kid.
I was going to say, you've got another one in the oven, right?
We do.
And that's not a twin or triplet or
no. Okay. So we heard that it skips a generation, and I think that's true.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, now we're expecting a girl.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're very excited.
What aspects of being a father is most exciting to you or most fulfilling?
I've prepared myself in life to do just about any job, to be ready for any storm. So there's a lot of knowledge that I've acquired through the years, and I'm excited to pass that along and share that with my son and then my future daughter. So, you know, having the next generation or creating or building the next generation to me is very exciting. And there's so much to do and so much to explore, and just super excited to share that with my family and my wife. And, yeah,
I'm the same way. I think, and you said it a couple of times already, like the knowledge, kind of passing that baton of knowledge and skill, is, you know, it takes a lot of patience. And a lot of people think that patience is a virtue, man, but it is not a virtue. It is a skill.
It's a skill, has to be learned.
And you got to learn, and you got to adapt, and you got to sharpen that pencil, you know, and to have the patience to teach the next generation, especially these really important skills, I think, of like using your hands, being able to fix stuff, being able to like stay handy and, you know, do things on your own. You know, that's, I think, that's liberty, you know, being able to like really truly take on something with yourself and with your family, I think is, it's huge. It's huge. Is there anything else that, you want to share? Cause we've touched up on real estate. We've touched up on construction and family. You have, started on a diet. I think you told me you were going to go into like a carnivore diet or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm off of this 38-hour fast, and it's my first one I've ever done, which was really challenging mentally, but I've never even considered like a carnivore diet. Like what's that all about?
So it's part of my processing that I'm in right now. That, I mean, there's probably 5 different reasons why I decided to do the carnivore diet. I'll start with the most simple one first. Is my really good friend has been now doing it for close to 90 days. And the results, the mental clarity, he just won't stop talking about it.
Wow.
And it's, you know what? And he's like a brother to me. So let's do it. Let's try it.
Cool.
So that's
so just meat, or are you able to eat, like have dairy or eggs, poultry?
So
like what's part of the diet?
Long
People
story.
who don't know.
It's actually what we call an elimination diet.
Interesting.
So one of the other aspects before I get into that is I needed a way to increase my protein intake, right? Just, I've been focusing on working out, getting stronger, mentally stronger, physically stronger for my son, for my career, lots of reasons. So the elimination diet is really to figure out what are the foods that are negatively affecting you. Because a lot of people, most people automatically assume that everything, like every vegetable, for example, is good for you, or the green ones are the best for you, right? For whatever reason, that's just how we've all been brought up. But what I've been learning through doing this diet is realizing that not all of them are really good for me. And it may not be good for everybody else. So how to figure that out, you just start eating meat. And slowly you can start to introduce each type of vegetable or fruit. And in that process, you're eliminating all the processed foods, all the sugars, anything that could potentially be harming your mental clarity, your health, your weight, your fat, there's a lot to it, right? So I'm currently in the state right now where I'm just doing carnivore, like ribeye for lunch, ribeye for dinner.
That's it.
Yes. Or I'll have eggs and bacon in the morning, with some ground beef. The first few items that I'll be introducing are going to be fruit. low glycemic fruits. So the carnivore diet is really, I've had history in the past where I've done a ketogenic diet, but never an elimination diet. So that's where I'm currently at right now, is figuring out what are the foods that are benefiting me the most and which ones are not. There's also a huge benefit in eating the same types of foods every day and having your gut and your body learn to process those the most efficient. Because when we are introducing thousands of different ingredients into our bodies always trying to figure out, how do I break this down? So yeah, it's all very new to me. And just like how we were talking about earlier, having community or others that are also doing it, it helps. And it's we laugh about it, but it's a very antisocial, diet, because everybody wants to have a beer. Everybody wants to go for ice cream. Everybody wants to have the French fries and you're only eating meat. So there's a lot of conversations that have happened through this diet. And I know I keep jumping all over the place, but one of the other reasons that I've done it is really for discipline and
mental discipline,
to
be able to just do something that's challenging and stick with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this isn't something you've ever done, right?
No. So I've done the ketogenic diet, which I did for mental focus reasons. I was in sales at the time, and I was always looking for the edge. Like, what can I do to have the edge with my other teammates or myself?
Sure.
And so that was a year long that I did the ketogenic diet. But I just got too skinny. I'm already a small guy, and I just got way too skinny. So that was maybe 7 or 8 years ago when the ketogenic diet was the most popular.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing the carnivore diet now?
So it's been about 60 days. No. It has been on and off for 60 days because I've broke the diet a few times. But consistently now it's been about 2 weeks where I haven't had a piece of fruit. I haven't had
a piece of broccoli.
The sushi that tempted me 2 weeks ago.
Oh geez. But you can have sashimi. You can have just fish, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
But I didn't. So,
okay.
And part of it too is just experimenting. Like, what happens if you eat, only meat for 2 weeks and then you have a buffet of sushi, like, how does it affect you?
And I think, in like the vegan or plant-based communities, it would be like a huge, like WTF, what are you doing eating all of this meat? It's like, I think.
Well, my wife is vegan.
Dominique is vegan.
She's a vegan.
No way. Has she always been a vegan?
After Sebastian was born.
Interesting.
As a way to control her blood sugar.
Interesting.
Was what was recommended from the doctor.
Yeah. So, the health of the food is always as healthy as the soil that it's grown in. Yeah. And the flesh that you eat is only as healthy as the land that it's raised on. And I hope the majority of the meat you're eating is grass-fed and forest raised and all that good stuff. Because that's where we start getting into trouble is confined animal feedlot operations and industrial agriculture and how that is raised, because it's inhumane, it's extremely pollutive, and is a huge land degrading activity. But one thing that I love about regenerative agriculture is that it's helping the planet and then creating abundance through a yield of food, whether it's beef or broccoli or whatever. I just want to preface that because agriculture and the way we raise our food is such a important aspect of our civilization that if we're not doing it in a way that's going to promote life and increase abundance, then we really need to be looking at things differently, because it's, one of the largest carbon emitters in the planet is, this industrial agriculture. We're constantly turning over soils. That soil goes up into the air and goes atmospheric, and that's all of our carbon that's getting lost into the air. And then we start throwing animals in confined operations that are in warehouses that create a tremendous amount of effluent rather, like just a lot of pollution. So I've been playing with different types of diets myself too, mostly based on, how I feel when I consume them. And it's always been a journey. Like I've tried the plant-based, I've tried keto, I've tried all these fads, and have found that whole foods is like where my body absolutely thrives in, like just whole foods, whole eggs, whole meat. Not like, if you can't pronounce it, like don't eat it. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of trying new things and seeing how that plays out, in terms of energy levels and health and wellness and all that. So I'm not quite sure if I'll go into eating nothing but meat, but you'll give me the feedback, because I'm open to trying things, and I have a good amount of protein, but to shave off like carbohydrates entirely, especially carbohydrates that come from simple sources like rice or oats, staying away from complex carbohydrates, I feel like when I get into the exercise, like I have more energy, I can push more, I'm able to burn
more than what?
More fuel. When I have
more than not having them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've tested that out, because I haven't.
How long have you tested it out?
This is going on like 6 weeks.
You've gone no carbs for 6 weeks?
Yeah. No carbs for 6 weeks. And when I do eat carbs, I find myself pushing harder. I have more fuel in the tank.
So I'm in no way an expert with
everybody's
diets,
different
with the carnivore diet.
Everybody's different.
But what leads me to ask you this question: how much fat intake were you taking in on a daily?
So my macros, because I track them, it's around 1,800 calories a day. A little more than 1,800. It's like 1,850 and some change.
So you're trying to lose weight with that amount of calories.
Fat loss and muscle building is the goal. So the carbs that were part of the macro kind of program were somewhere around 180 grams a day of like rice or oats or something like that. And then fats were, I believe, around 160 grams, and then the rest was protein. So
about 160 protein.
So it was predominantly protein. The next one was carbs, and then the next one was fat, in that order in terms of.
But when you were doing no carbs, how much fat were you taking in?
The same. Like I would do, in the mornings, I would do like an avocado, because that like was really filling and really like, satiated me. So I'd do, maybe 2 to 3 eggs, soft boiled, because I absolutely love soft boiled eggs more than any other style. Maybe poached.
Me
Poached
too.
is really good too.
Yep.
And then an avocado, and then another protein, whether it's, bacon or a steak or something like that. And I found I had more energy when I didn't push in the gym, which is really interesting. Like when I wasn't going to the gym, like I would have this sustained energy after having a very protein rich and like fat dense breakfast. And then if I was going to go into the gym and I stayed off of the carbs entirely, so like no fruit or any carbs from vegetables, then I found myself lacking in the gym, which, is really interesting because I'm always trying to dial in this macro-based nutrition in a way that allows me to really thrive. Because I definitely am doing the overloading training, like just going till I can't go anymore. And I found that it's been like this constant, I'm like constantly dialing in, you know, the nutrition, like, should I pull off the carbs here? Should I add a little more fat? You know I always have to keep up the protein, but you know, it's definitely a journey.
So you would start the day with a high protein, high fat, and then you would have carbs for lunch or for dinner. Is that right?
After a workout. I only eat carbs now after workouts, after or before workouts. So if I'm going into the gym and I've got like a heavy leg day, I'll do like oats in the morning. And then depending on how I feel and what I'm doing the next day, then I'll do maybe a little bit of rice for lunch, and then that's it. Like I won't have any more carbs. And like I've completely cut out carbs in the evening times. So if I'm eating carbs, it's like early in the day. That way I've got, you know, the fuel to push me into the workout and for the remainder of whatever I'm doing for that particular day. Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun to discover and to fine tune what works for you, because we're all so different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes us the same, if that makes any sense. You know, the laboratory, and this is where we can go down the rabbit hole a little bit, is getting blood work done, understanding your composition, your blood type, like looking underneath the hood and what's going on underneath, you know, scientifically, because I found out through doing that I have trouble absorbing certain B vitamins, like B12. Like I have to have methylated B12 in order for my body to absorb it, because my body cannot methylate the B12. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't take labs and do like an extensive survey of what's underneath, you know, this 83 model. And I think that's really important, like for people who are embarking on, you know, a fitness journey. It's like, cool, like work something up that you thrive in. However, data is everything. And if you can get data from, you know, a physician or a laboratory, and there's so many like third parties now that you can go to, and you can go to like a local phlebotomist and draw blood and then send it to their lab, and then they'll give you a really comprehensive report about what's going on. So I definitely encourage everybody to do that, because that will help kind of work out the elimination that you're doing. Sure. You know what I mean? Yep.
To see what you're deficient in.
That too. Yeah. Because like today, I mean, everything is filtered, and like, I mean, there's just so much loss of nutrition because of the amount of processing that occurs in all of our food, which is super unfortunate. I don't know if you remember, you know, the foods that you eat in South America, or when you go to Europe, you know, it's like, it's very different than the food that you have here in the United States.
Well, just like you said, most of the ingredients I can't pronounce, nor do I know what it is.
I don't want to eat that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, part of this process with this particular diet is around self-awareness and what it is that we put in our bodies. And for me, the simplest way to do this diet is it's simplicity, right? First it's going to automatically eliminate all the processed foods that I was consuming. You know, you wonder why you don't feel good. You wonder why you don't have energy. You wonder why, and that's the first step. So regardless if you're vegan or if you're strictly carnivore like I am now, and probably going to stick with it for a while, it's also a very simple diet. You know, like my wife says, "What are you gonna eat tonight? Steak." "What are you gonna eat for lunch?" "Steak." And one day I just, you know, I think you know what my answer is every time. It's just very simple.
You should throw her off and go chicken tonight.
Yeah. and that's fine too. Chicken's good too.
Yeah.
But I'm mastering how to cook the best steak. So it's all very new, but it just self-awareness, figuring out what helps, what feeds our bodies and what doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, prior to starting the diet, I watched a survival series on Netflix.
Which one?
It's called Outlast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. And it's funny. I think about this show all the time, just from a primal perspective, and how, you know, yeah, they're all searching for the mushrooms and the plants that they can eat, but the main thing that they all longed for was a piece of meat. Mm-hmm. And the day that they got even a squirrel, even a mouse, which, as nasty as that sounds, their energy levels just shot up. They were able to go hunting again. They were able to do all the things that they could do that they really couldn't do on just
berries.
Yeah. Even berries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So giving it a shot. We'll see. So far, it's been an amazing journey. My brother has joined me on it. He's lost, I think he's on his 45 days right now.
Oh, wow.
And has lost 18 pounds.
Wow.
That he hasn't been able to lose.
Is he working out as well?
Oh, yeah. And his energy levels, I mean, it's absolutely inspiring to me. And
cool.
He was always working out a lot and never losing the weight.
Oh.
You know, we would track each other on our watches, and you know, he'd do 1,500 jump ropes, and we would ride in the mornings and on the Peloton every day, just burning calories. I say, how are you not losing weight?
Because he was eating improperly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's down, and he's so it's the three of us now that are on this.
That's amazing.
This carnivore diet.
That's how you get your abs in the kitchen, right? Like, you don't get them in the gym, you get them in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a journey, but the biggest reason is self-awareness about what actually goes in.
That's, I think, so important.
Yeah.
You know, the self-awareness and the discovery and learning what works for you. That's I think the meaning of life. It's the self-discovery, learning about ourselves. We got, if you're lucky, 100 years in, to go in and to learn and to apply and to teach and to educate is, you know, the big reason why we're on this show, man. So I appreciate you taking the time to spend it here with me and talk about wealth and wellness. I think that's a wrap. Our last episode with Kyle and Nicholas also talked a lot about diet and what that means for mental clarity and overall health and wellness. So I think this was a really great episode. If you like it, please do hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen, and we'll see you on the next one.